What's up, everyone? We are here for a virtual edition of the Present Tense today. And I have a great guest joining me on the show today. My guest on the show tonight is the assistant coach for your Dub J baseball squad since 2019. He has helped develop the President's infielders, including several All-Pac players and one Gold Glover. Coach Rick Bubash, thank you for joining the show tonight.
Glad to be with you, Stu, finally.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. So, Coach, let's dive right into the questions. So, for you, when did you fall in love with the game of baseball? A game that's been such a big part of your life. We're going to talk about your coaching history in a second. Your great playing career. But when did you first know you loved the game of baseball?
Well, I have an older brother. He's 4 years older than me. So whenever he was, I guess, 8 or 9 years old playing Little League, and I was the little kid, on his coattails and everything. So probably whenever I was 4 or 5, 6, somewhere around there, I was always trying to be like him. So that was, early on.
Now, let's flash forward a little bit. You played at both Edinburgh University and West Liberty. And at West
Yep.
Liberty, your senior year, you played in the World Series and you hit 406, a great year for you. So, Coach Bubash, after that moment, your senior year, what made you want to pursue coaching? You've coached for a lot of different organizations. I'll let you name them, but you've done a lot in the world of baseball. What made you want to stay involved after your playing career was done?
I love playing, first of all, and I thought that I could have a lot of input with younger players coming through. So that was probably my biggest, my biggest reason to stay into coaching or get into coaching right out of there. I actually played until I was 40 years old. So whenever my son was 6, I jumped from playing to coaching. So like I started coaching whenever he was, a little guy, and coached him all the way through, and then jumped into, high school coaching and travel ball and all the other stuff. And then, finally Coach Mountain, got me on his staff 6 years ago. So, a little bit of, perfect timing. He was recruiting my son to go, to W&J. And at that time, he, had an opening and, asked me to join the coaching. So, so whenever my son was a little guy, jumped into coaching then.
Now, you said you played till you were 40, you said?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I couldn't find any information on that. What league did you play in?
It was the Pittsburgh Federation League,
Okay.
a league in Pittsburgh. I actually lived up by Penn State also. I played in the Center County League for a couple of years when my wife and I lived up there.
Okay.
So there's like semi-pro baseball around for guys that can't give it up like me. So
Now, Coach, I think what a lot of people, I was talking to people today, are really excited to hear about some of your philosophies as a coach. So, what I first want to ask you tonight, on the defensive side of the ball, why are you so, and I know you coach hitting sometimes too, but it seems like what really gets you excited on the baseball field is coaching defense. So, I want to turn it over to you now just to talk about what kind of tools you want your infielders to have. And for any high school kids coming to W&J or any other school, or even, young guys like your son when he was 6, guys who are playing travel ball, what are the keys needed to play as a great player in the infield at the collegiate level and beyond?
you'll hear me, constantly, harp on the footwork. I think being athletic is number one. I mean, we have a lot of players right now that are athletes, not just baseball players. A good coach can, pretty much mold an infielder, outfielder, or a baseball player, to what they, expect, their philosophies and all that. And I'll get to the philosophy thing, but I look for athleticism in players and their ability to adjust to what I try to teach them. That's the biggest thing. Look for athleticism, in players able to move, not necessarily, being fast, but being able to move quickly to their left, to the right, in and out, and, mainly that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like what I look for whenever we go out and recruit also. It was a joke whenever, Nick Rush was here and he was saying, oh, you always, look for players that look like Kobe and, this kind of player, that kind. But, you know, I hate to say that I, molded my son, to be what he is now, but, a lot of the stuff that I taught, I mean, he was getting when he was 3 years old, 4 years old. So mainly the athleticism and footwork and, trying to teach them, attention to detail and things like that. I think it's a big thing. As far as I don't want to give away my secrets too. As
That's fair.
hey man,
That's fair
I'm
enough.
not
Maybe
gonna
give
give
us a general
who
overview.
knows who's gonna be. Grove
I
City
know.
might be watching this, man, and they'll try to steal all of my infield secrets. No, but it's mainly just coming and getting the ball, being aggressive. I'm a big advocate of that. Also, if you're an aggressive player, that doesn't necessarily mean that you got to be a jerk on the field. You come and get it and come and get the ball constantly. And I mean, you as a pitcher, you'll hear me say, to the infielders and outfielders, you got to be aggressive to the ball and, work through the ball instead of letting the ball play you and staying back and funneling. You'll probably hear a lot of the guys, saying that, I kind of teach opposite from the funneling that everybody has, had taught them all the way through.
And real quick,
I'm
for our
Go
viewers who
ahead.
don't know what funneling means, can you just explain that?
Taking the ball out and bringing it to your body instead of taking your body to the ball. That's one of my big things, trying to teach the younger kids coming in, that part of the my philosophy is, working through the ball and all that kind of stuff. Um, that, like I said, good infielders, good athletes can adjust to what, I'm asking. So it's always a good fun thing, especially in the falls. I mean, you've been with us for 4 years in a fall, and that's probably one of my more exciting times of the year with us. Just getting new blood in and trying to teach them what we do here, and hopefully they take to it and don't I don't scare them too much.
Now, that's a great segue into my next question. A lot of people have described you as very intense on the field. I've heard you personally talk about your passion for baseball. So, coach, something I always ask athletes, coaches, whatever on here is what motivates you? What fuels you? Obviously, you're a volunteer assistant. Like, you're not getting paid millions of dollars to do this, but every single ground ball that every single kid takes out there, if they're not doing the right thing, you're on them right away. So, for you, what drives you and motivates you to be that force?
Attention to details. I mean, I think you'll never hear me use the term, you have potential. I think potential is just a wasted thing in this world. Even on the business side, because it even in work, somebody will say, "Oh, he has potential to be good." Well, I think potential is a wasted word, and even in the business world, but I think teaching, that's what I actually went to school for, to be a phys ed teacher, if you believe that or not. But through the years, whenever I was in college, I started doing the work that I do now. But I've carried that all the way through, just paying attention to details. I was lucky to have a very good coach in college. A little bit too late. I played down at West Liberty for 2 years, transferred there from, Edinburgh, like you brought up earlier. But my coach down at West Lib was awesome, just an intense guy, and taught me that intensity, not just playing the game, play it with a passion, and I think, going to the World Series my junior year, that was probably our trademark as a team, hard nosed and refuse to lose kind of thing, and I brought that mentality with me, through the rest of my life playing. Like I said, I wish I had a coach early on to really, push me that direction, to play hard nosed and play with passion. You're only on the field for what, a short time, maybe 2 hours. the practice situation, like you said, like whenever these guys take ground balls, I have to honestly say, that's one of the biggest things that I love and love about our program down here. For the 6 years that I've been here, we've always had players that love the game. Like you never really had to force anybody to come to practice or be intense, on my side whenever we're doing position practices. Um, yeah, you asked the question. It's the passion, just teaching and attention to detail. I could go on for hours and, just talking about the passion of, playing a game.
Now, you're working with these guys every day, like I said before. Obviously, Coach Mountain brings that same kind of attention to detail. It's no wonder you've been a part of this program and stayed. But what do you want, besides attention to detail, these men who graduate from your program? What kind of characteristics do you want them to bring into the business world or the creative world or the accounting world, whatever they're doing? What do you want them to graduate with?
I want them to have like a passion, as in, uh, you should never try to teach somebody effort or attitude. If you bring a quality attitude to anything, just the field every day, positive attitude. If you come with a pissy attitude, and it's not gonna turn out good. And that's one thing. And if you have to try to teach somebody effort too, try to convince somebody to put 100% effort into what they're doing for that day, it just doesn't work out that way either. So, effort and attitude is definitely two of the things that, I want these players to leave here, not only with my great stories that I tell, but don't. Hey, I told you it would be PG, so don't say anything bad here. That's probably one of the things that I want to want them to take on with them, after they're done here. You know, the effort and attitude. Put 100% attitude or effort into it, and have a good attitude with everything that you do. So
Now, Coach, this question kind of has two parts, but the first part of the question, freshman infielder or outfielder steps on the first day for their first position session of the new school year, their freshman year. What is the biggest advice you would give that kid if they come to you and say, Coach Bubash, what is the biggest advice you could give me for being a successful baseball player at W&J?
pay attention to the older guys. They've been through it. Listen to what they do. Follow in the footsteps of the players that have been here. And that whenever you first came in, the pitchers work hard. Coach Mountain and Sam Basham, now thank God he's here too. Take some of the pressure off of Coach Mountain. To do some of the stuff that he brings to the table. Those guys, the same thing. Attention to details, carries you through everything. And a freshman has no idea what they're doing when they come in, and just follow the older guys. And we've always had good leadership here too. Unselfish leaders. They try to push the guys, to do good things, in our program. And that's one of the things, definitely to, follow the footsteps of the older guys, because they've been
Now,
through it.
now this is the second part of the question. And personally, I like this question a lot because I think it kind of shines light on the world of coaching that we don't see a lot. So if a first year coach came up to you, we have some guys right now who are possibly talking about going to grad school, and new coaches are entering the baseball world every year. What is the biggest advice for a coach who came up to you and said, Coach Bubash, what is the biggest advice you'd give me for being a coach at the college level?
Don't ever stop learning. Every day I'm trying to pick something up that can improve my philosophy. Um, you the great thing about baseball and coaching baseball or playing baseball, there is not just one way of doing things. Um, if you can pick up just a little bit of information or a skill that you can implement as a coach or take on as a player to improve your game every day, that's probably one of the things. And Schuster, just told us that he's going to Otterbein, which is awesome. Clay Martin, he's, out at Seton Hill right now, went to, Westminster. These guys definitely, can bring things that we've taught them, through the years. But I'll tell you that that's one of the biggest things that I can do is, transforming my philosophy every day. Never stop learning as a coach. Once you do that, you got to get out of here. You got to get out of the game, because there's so many things that, you can improve on. And even though I'm 55 years old, don't tell people that, because as old. But even being that I'm 55 years old and played the game for so long, been in coaching for so long, there's always something that you can learn from somebody. Learn something from Coach Crummer, learn something from, Coach Mount and Coach Bash and Coach P. Everybody brings something different, to the game, that you can always pick something, out of somebody's head.
I see.
So,
I think, one thing that I've never told this story here, I was talking to a messaging with a program, and I asked them what they did, how did that compare to other colleges? And they said, well, we don't look at what other colleges do. And then I talked to Coach Mountain. He was like, well, I had him on the show. He's talking about, we've talked to the coastal coaches. We've watched practices of D1 teams. We've D2 teams. We talked with other D3 teams. Like, I think that's something our program really does well. And for you personally, on that note, how do you feel like your coaching philosophy has changed styles over the years? Is it, a philosophy change? Have you learned new drills, new ways of doing things? How have you tried to reinvent what you do?
well, I had mentioned earlier about funneling and, soft hands and, doing that. Well, being with younger kids, you have to teach different skill levels all the way through. Now, baseball's baseball, and I've always been, a believer of that. I coached like 6 years old, 6 years old, 6-year-old kids, all the way up, to this level. Um, one of my biggest things, baseball's baseball, and you can't teach age appropriate baseball, but you have to introduce skills, accordingly to, to skill level that you're teaching. So through the years, that's one of the biggest things that I think that I got better, you know, um, being able to adjust to, skill levels and, that part of it. So adjustments.
What is your favorite memory at Washington and Jefferson?
My favorite memory. Oh, going down to Salisbury a couple years ago, and just being a downright underdog down there, and just coming out of there, going to the World Series. That's definitely any coach's dreams to to get your teams to the World Series. Um, just being an underdog, and is one thing, but the opposite side, that we really don't get too much respect nationally, just being, in the conference that we're in, and, so forth. But I think we strive on that. We don't care, on that side, what other people think of us. But, being an underdog going into there was definitely, one of my coaching, here at W&J. So.
What is something in your life that you are proud of?
My family, being married for 26 years, and, having, two kids in college. My son just graduated. He's going to be a special ed teacher here shortly. He's playing again up at Slippery Rock now, but when he's done up there, he's, taking a test to get certified. That's at, and my daughter's at Cal U right now, taking up criminology. Their success, just being a dad and a husband, it's like one of those things that you really, look back on and are proud of that. That's what I think, my family.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. And one more question here before we get to some final thoughts. If you had to
Cool.
use one word to describe yourself, what would it be?
Let me say this to you, Stu. Since you've known me, you give me one word that would describe me.
I would say passionate or fiery.
Passionate.
Yeah.
And I get that. I get that even at work. I'm real passionate to make sure that people are held accountable for what they do. That comes with passion. That perfect, perfect, thought that comes out of you to me. I mean, that's one of the things that um, being a coach, you hope that your players look at you and say, "Man, that Coach Bubash he's definitely passionate, dude. He brings that passion. How can't we play for him? We got to listen to him. The stuff that he says." He brings with such passion, just I appreciate you saying that too, Stu. So
Thank you.
yeah,
And
passion.
one thing I've thought about is like the idea that it's sometimes difficult, I think, when you come into I'll say a legendary coach with a legendary program, and it's like everything like average is not okay. Exceptional is the standard. Anything less than exception, that can be really daunting sometimes. So, what do you feel like the benefit, and this is I didn't even have this written down tonight, but having those high standards, what do you think that has done for the program and our culture? How do you feel like that's responsible for what the
It's
results have
taken
been?
off. I mean, I would never put myself in a situation where I didn't respect a head coach, first of all. I mean, being so confident in what I do, what I bring to the table, there is no possible way that I could coach with or be on a coaching staff that I didn't respect the head coach the way, that I respect Coach Mountain. Um, that's one of the bigger things that I think is definitely, taking this program to the next level. I mean, even recruiting wise, I mean, I think we're going out and trying to get, top level players now. It's not like a Division III program. We're looking for players that actually fit our mold instead of vice versa. Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I, think the reason our program has taken off is just because of the how can I say it? Just attention to details, the high expectations of the program, and you'll even hear us say that the first day. Whenever our expectations are not just a win. We are here to be the best that we can be and just take it to the next level. We expect to be at the World Series. We expect to be at regionals every year, and one of the things that I take personal and I'm very proud of. Ever since that I've been here, we've been to the regionals. So I mean, we've I think that our coaching staff is awesome here. I mean, the dynamics we have Coach P, and I gotta say this because it takes a generation each, a decade of generations. We got Coach P's in his 60s. I'm in my 50s. Coach Mountain's in his 40s. Sam's in his 30s. Crummer's in his 20s. I mean, we're bringing a wealth of information that's just, all the way through,
I didn't even think about that. That's actually pretty impressive if you think
and
about it.
I don't know if anybody else has, ever noticed that before, but, you know, every, every, every generation of a baseball coach we have here. I mean, and it pays off. I mean, not not in a way that other schools might even think of it, but I think that having a different thought process at each age group is definitely beneficial to our players here.
Very interesting. That's awesome point. I never thought about that. I hope the guys and everyone watching this really thinks about that. I think that's pretty rare. So, Coach, I would like to turn over to you for the quote of the day. I said, earlier in the day, if you had one, I don't know if you have like a quote per se, maybe a philosophy that you'd like to leave with us, something you tell your infielders. But I'll turn it over to you for this now.
And I've said it multiple times here. I think bringing 100% effort and attitude and attention to detail. I think every one of the guys that defensively, our outfielders, our infielders, and even, the pitchers, whenever we get together, after practices or after games, before games, they'll hear me say that constantly. And it's not, just a cliche. And I think that I sent that to you. I'm not a big cliche guy that, let's go team kind of thing. I expect that intensity all the time, and that's part of that effort. If you can't come to the field with a good attitude and a good effort and give 100% all the time, for that short period of time, it's just a short period of time. Yeah, you shouldn't be an athlete, especially at the college level, or, with anything that you do. Actually, here, I think that you put, 100% effort into this stuff that you do, your communication stuff, your, interview process, all that kind of stuff, Sam. I think, you put just as much effort as you do in your trade as I do in mine. So, I mean, that's one of the biggest things, take that, for what it's worth, but effort and attitude and attention to detail, and you should be good.
Wow. Thank you so much, Coach. I really appreciate those kind words. And thank you so much for joining the show tonight. I'm glad we could finally make it happen.
Yeah. Hey, I'm here weekly, man. My show's on weekly. The Stu and Boo show. There you go, right there.
Stu and Boo. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you, Coach. And reminder everyone, the Presidents play at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. this Saturday. It's going to be cold, so bundle up, but hope to see everyone there. All right. Bye,
Yep.
everyone.
Thanks, man.